Hi there, welcome to Brooke Does Yoga. My name is Brooke. Let's do some yoga together. Today's flow, we are going to focus on the space in between the poses. So often we are impatient or, we just want to get from point A to point B. We just want to get to that next pose, move on, get through the flow. And as is often the case, what we do on our mats is what we do in our life. So today we're going to really focus on those transitions in between the poses and making that as much a part of our practice as the poses themselves. You may want 2 blocks for today's practice. I would highly suggest grabbing a block or block alternative. Could be a book, a Tupperware container, anything that you can put just a little bit of weight on that can bring the floor a little bit closer to you. You'll want 2 of those items, and then possibly a blanket or pillow or towel to cushion you in some seated postures as well. If you don't already have your props, go ahead and grab them, and we will meet on our mats in a wide-legged child's pose to begin. So we'll come to our mats and take our big toes together and our knees about as wide as our mat is. And then sink the hips back to the heels. And the arms might stretch out in front, allowing some space in the shoulders and a stretch for the side body. If this isn't working for you today, you can always bring the arms back by the feet as well. And if the forehead doesn't quite reach down to the mat, go ahead and let your neck rest by placing one of your blocks or even your blanket or pillow underneath your forehead. Our heads are really heavy, and our little neck does so much work all day holding it up. So let this just be a break for all of those muscles so that the head can really rest, the neck can relax. And start to let your tailbone and your sit bones get really heavy, sinking back towards your heels. Not with any kind of effort, just letting those muscles release and weight down. And as you start to breathe here, you may start to feel your breath in your back body. And for a minute, don't try to change your breath at all. Just notice the way that it's moving today. Notice if you feel it in your back body, and if so, where specifically. Notice if you feel it in your side body, even. Your ribs expanding underneath your armpits, moving outwards to allow the breath to fill you up. Notice if you feel the breath in your belly or your chest. Maybe as you inhale, your front body starts to expand and move down towards your thighs, towards your mat. And as you start to bring your attention to your breath, maybe you already find that your breath has started to deepen just by bringing your attention to it. But now try to make your breath more conscious and consciously Deepen, widen, expand your breath through your back body, side body, front body, so that you fill up with air on your inhale and then soften a little bit more on your exhale. And take about 3 more breaths like that, slow and wide and deep. And then at the end of your 3rd breath, stretch your arms forward and press down into your palms enough to lift your head off of your mat or your block. If you have the block, just set the block towards the top of your mat. And then lift your hips and bring your knees hip-width apart now. We'll find a tabletop pose, planting the hands, spreading the fingers really wide, finding the shoulders right over the wrists and the knees right under our hips. Just some little movements here. You may want some hip circles. Take a couple breaths just to feel into the body. And then find a strong neutral spine, a little lift through the low belly. The heart stretches forward and the hands press down into the mat to push the floor away from you. The very crown of your head stretches forward and your tailbone reaches back. Good, and then on your inhale, drop your belly down towards your mat. Reach your heart through your arms for cow pose. Exhale, round your spine for a cat pose. Couple more like that. Inhaling for cow. Exhale, cat. Good. And then come back to your neutral tabletop. And we're going to take a couple more cat and cow flows, slowing it down so that we can really feel what this movement is like and notice that transition in between the two. So from your neutral tabletop, start by just lifting the crown of your head so that your gaze looks forward a few feet. Good. And then right in between your shoulder blades, drop your heart down towards the floor. So everything else is the same. Your belly is nice and strong like a tabletop, but your head is lifted and your heart is shooting down towards your mat. Good. Continue that, dropping the belly down towards the mat and then lifting the tailbone up high. Good. Moving towards our cow pose, drop your head, keep everything else the same. Press down into your hands and reach the back of your heart up towards the sky. Then let your middle back start to round up high. Tuck your tailbone strongly and send it down in between your knees. Cat pose. Good. Back the other way. This time lift your tailbone first. Let the belly drop. Let your heart move down in between your arms. And then lift the crown of the head, cow. Good. One more the other way. Tuck the tailbone under. Lift up through your low belly, round your mid-back. Press down into your hands. Lift your heart up towards the sky. And drop the crown of the head. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Good. On your next exhale, come back to a neutral. Give a little wiggle. Nice. And then just a quick child's pose. Sink the hips. Give a little roll through your wrists. Press down into your hands. Lift your hips just enough to tuck your toes under
And then firm your low belly and lift your knees off the mat 1 inch to hover. Hold for a breath. Exhale, straighten the legs. Find your downward facing dog. And in this first down dog, we might bend one knee and then the other. We might shift the weight from side to side, move through the hips a little bit. We might take a little twist. Any movements here to just integrate into your body. Eventually find some stillness in your downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide and root all 10 fingertips down into your mat, pushing the floor away to reach your hips up and back. A little softness behind the knees and softness through the backs of the calves, letting the heels drop towards your mat. Good. At the bottom of your next exhale, put a bend in your knees, look forward at your hands, and then walk or step your feet to your hands at the top of your mat. On your inhale, bring your hands to your shins, lift up halfway to a flat back, firm your belly, roll your shoulders down your back. Exhale, fold in. Good, again here, moving a bit slower. On your next inhale, bring your hands to your shins. Start at the very base of your spine, lifting from your low belly to begin with. And then letting the rest of your spine roll up and forward as you firm through the mid-belly. Lifting the upper back, lifting the shoulders, stretching the crown of the head forward. And all the way back, letting the head drop, the shoulders, the upper back, the mid-back, the low back, round in. One more like that, nice and slow. Inhaling, hands to shins, low back, mid-back, upper back, shoulders, crown of the head. And head, back, mid-back, low back, rounding in. Inhaling all the way up this time. Reach your hands to the sky. Stretch through your side body. And bring the hands down to the heart. Nice deep breath in. Full breath out. On your next inhale, sweep the arms down, around and up high. And then as you exhale, slow and controlled, hinge at your hips with a flat back, fold forward, knees can bend. Pause about halfway down. This should feel just like that half lift. Nice and strong through the core. We can always bring the arms down to support. And then fold the rest of the way, nice and mindfully, rounding in. On your inhale, hands to shins, lift halfway. Exhale, touch the ground. Step both of your feet to the back of your mat and bring your knees down for that tabletop pose. Good. Firm your belly, find a strong tabletop here. And then on your next inhale, take your right toes towards the back of your mat. The toes will tuck under. And then firm through that low belly. Use your inner leg seam to lift your toes off of the mat. The leg comes to about hip height. Notice if you dumped into your low back here and firm through the low belly. And then look back at your toes and make sure that all 5 of your right toes are pointed straight down towards the mat. Your hips are going to be parallel with your mat. Hips are going to stay just like this. Just firm the outside of your left hip to turn your hips towards the right, stacking your right hip on top of your left hip. With that hip motion, your right toes are going to start to turn towards the right. Good. On your exhale, release that left outer hip to hinge your hips closed. Right toes point straight down. So the leg is not really moving here. We're initiating all of this movement from the hips. Again, like that. Inhale, firm the outer left hip, stack right hip on top. Exhale, close the hips down. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Inhale, hinge your hips open. Bring the sole of your right foot down to the mat. And then lift your right hand up towards the sky. Supported side plank Vashisthasana. That left leg might turn off to the side a little bit like a kickstand. Stretch through your right fingertips towards the ceiling. Option to stay here. Option to shift your weight forward into your left hand and lift your right foot off of the mat. It's like a little baby half moon pose. Good. On your exhale, if the leg lifted, bring it down. Bring the right hand down, come back to your tabletop. Take one round of cat and cow mindfully here. Good, and then on your next inhale, left toes reach back behind you. Check in with that low belly, nice and strong, reaching down through the hands. Then use your inner leg seam to lift the left leg to hip height. Look back at your toes. Make sure they're pointing straight down towards your mat. On your next exhale, firm your outer right hip to hinge your hips open towards the left. Your left hip stacks on top of your right hip. Left toes turn up towards the left side of your mat. Exhale. Hinge the hips back down, closing them towards your mat. Inhale to open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale. Inhale. This time, bring the left foot down to the mat. Hips are still opened here. Right leg may come out to the side. Inhale to reach your left hand high. Little baby half moon pose. Option to stay. Option to shift the weight into the right hand and lift left leg off of the mat. Really firm that left leg up towards the sky and press through the heel behind you. Exhale, bring the foot down, bring the hand down, tabletop, and one round of cat and cow. Good, inhaling hips back to the heels, child's pose. And then root down through your hands, tuck your toes, find downward facing dog. Settle into your down dog. And then on your next exhale, lift up through your low belly. Pull your low belly away from your thighs. And then start to arch through your spine as you slowly, slowly, slowly come forward and find a plank pose with your shoulders over your wrists. Good. Pause in your plank. This may be knees down for you. That's totally okay. Having that nice strong core takes precedence over having the knees up. Lifting through the low belly. Root down into your hands. Lift the heart slightly. Send the energy out through your heels. Good. On your next exhale, lift your belly button up to your spine and move all the way back to your downward facing dog. Good. In the slowest way that you can. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, back to downward facing dog as slow as you can. One more like that. Inhaling, slow, 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 plank pose. Exhaling, slowly downward facing dog. Good. Put a bend in the knees. Look forward. Walk or step feet to hands at the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Inhale all the way up. Exhaling, hands to heart. Good. Deep breath in. Full breath out. One round of Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A, just to get us a little bit more warm. Inhale, reach the hands up high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, touch the ground. Step your feet back, plank pose. Good. Inhale in your plank. Exhale, make your way down to your mat. On your inhale, lift the heart forward and up. Exhale to release. Find your way back to your downward facing dog. That might mean pressing up to plank or all fours or going through a child's pose. Pause and breathe in your down dog. Notice if you're really here in this pose or if you're thinking about what's coming next. On your next exhale, bend your knees. Bring your feet to your hands. Inhaling to lift halfway. Exhaling to fold. Inhaling to rise all the way up. Exhaling, hands to heart. Good. Deep breath in. Full breath out. Great. Quick pause here. If your blocks are not at the top of your mat, go ahead and move them there now. You will want them. And then inhale, reach the hands up high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, touch the ground. Take your right foot all the way to the back of your mat. Bring your right knee down and then inhale, both hands up high, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. And take a couple of breaths here to kind of move in the hips, lunging the hips forward and then coming out of that a little bit. And we can always have hands on the hips or hands to heart here. It might feel good to take some shoulder rolls or bring the hands behind the head and give the neck a little traction. Whatever feels good, just feeling into this for a moment. Good, and then release that. Stand down strongly into your front heel. That might mean the hips lift a little bit, that's okay. Lift your left hip point away from your left thigh. Reach the hands up high. Stretch through your fingertips so that from the tops of your hip bones all the way up through the fingers, you get long. Good. Exhale. Bring your hands down around your front foot and grab your blocks here under each hand. And then start to straighten your front leg, coming into half Hanuman pose. The toes of the front foot can lift up or stay down on the mat, whatever feels best to you. Inhale, bend into your knee and stretch your heart forward, get your spine long. As you exhale, we'll start to straighten that front leg again. Concentrate on pulling your left hip back and sending your right hip forward here. So again, being mindful of how we come into this. Let the spine round. Inhale, bend into that front knee, come forward, reach the heart forward. Exhale, start to straighten that leg, pulling left hip back. Good, spine rounds. One more. Inhaling to come forward. Exhale. Watch how you do this in your body. Good. Inhaling forward. Tuck your back toes and lift your back knee for a runner's lunge here. And then walk your blocks a little bit forward of that front foot, maybe like a foot forward, pretty much as long as your arms can go. Bend your back knee slightly and use that as a springboard to hop forward to warrior three, lifting the back foot off of the mat. And then straighten the elbows so that the heart can reach forward. Your body is moving towards a big letter T here. Firm the back of your lifted leg. Firm your low belly. Reach your heart forward. Option to stay here. Option to work on a balance, bringing the hands together at your heart. And maybe you just try one hand at a time and see how it feels. Maybe they come together. Good. Slow and controlled. Move from here to a standing balance. Your right knee is going to come in towards your chest as you stand all the way up. Exhale, right foot comes down. Inhale, reach the hands high. Good. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, touch the ground. Left foot goes all the way to the back of your mat. Back knee comes down. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Few breaths here to move around. Lifting and lowering the hips. Moving the arms in any way that feels good. The thing I love about balancing poses is that they really force us to be present in the moment. If you're not in the moment when you're balancing, you're gonna fall. And so that falling starts to bring our attention to the fact that we're not really here in this moment. It's a little alarm bell. Hello, pay attention, you're not here. Your mind is wandering. Good. On your next inhale, stand strongly down into that front heel. Hips will lift just slightly, probably. Lift the right low belly away from your right thigh. And then reach from the tops of your hip bones up into your hands. Side body gets long. Exhale, bring the hands down around your front foot. Find your blocks underneath your hands. On your exhale, pull your right hip back. Right leg will start to straighten. It may not come all the way straight. Put more of the attention into pulling that right hip back, elongating the space between the top of your right hip and your right armpit. Good. Spine can round and fold over the leg here. Inhaling, bend into the front knee, reach the heart forward, stretch the spine long. Exhaling to fold. Inhaling to come forward. Nice and slow so that you can feel all of the muscles that go into moving between these poses. Good. On your next inhale, bend into your front knee and come forward. Walk your blocks about a foot forward of that front foot. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and then bend the back knee just a little bit to spring into that warrior three supported by your blocks. Firm your lifted leg. Flex your toes back towards your shin and press through that lifted foot like you're going to stand it on the wall behind you. At least I assume you have a wall behind you. Maybe you're outside. That would be lovely. All right, lift up through the low belly. Option to stay here, option to play with that balance, bringing one or both hands together at the heart. Let the knee of this standing leg Stay a little soft here. Good. And then everyone slowly come to a standing balance, left knee in towards the chest. Exhale, step the foot down. Inhale, reach the hands high. Good. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, round in. Inhale, rise all the way up. And exhaling, hands to the heart. Take your hands to your hips. And then shift your weight into your left foot. Grow that foot down into the floor nice and strongly. Start to come up on the ball of your right foot. And then lift that right knee to about a 90-degree angle. Check in with your hips. Notice if one hip is hiking up higher than the other one, and see if they can stay level and squared toward the top of your mat. Keep the hips just like this, level and square. Just like we did earlier in all fours, we're going to firm our outer hips to start to open the right knee out towards the right. Inhaling to bring it back to center. Couple more like that, just slowly isolating those muscles, noticing how we do this movement. Good, and then the next time your knee is out towards the right, find a tree pose, vrikshasana, by bringing the sole of your foot to your calf, or maybe you reach down and help it all the way up to your thigh. Wherever it comes, press the sole of the foot into your leg just as much as you press your leg back into the sole of your foot. Good. And then option to lift the arms here. Good. On your next inhale, your hands will come to your hips. You'll lift the legs straight outwards, just like we came into it. And then gently bring it back to center. Put a little softness in your left knee. And then start to extend that right leg out behind you, finding a warrior three again here. Maybe a balance with the hands. Maybe the hands come down to those blocks. Good. From here, bend deeply into your left knee. Stretch your right leg back behind you. And then finally find a lunge pose. Inhale to lift your hands up high, crescent pose. Adjust your legs as needed. Nice deep bend in the front leg. Firm your back leg. Good. Exhale, bring your hands down around your front foot. Grab your blocks again here. And then start to straighten that front leg. Extended pyramid pose. Front leg might not come all the way straight, that's okay. Let your back heel start to fall down towards the mat. Round your spine deeply, lay your belly down on your thigh. If that means you bend more into that front knee, that's okay. Find that connection of belly and chest to your thigh. And then let the head relax. Good. On your next inhale, start to walk your blocks slightly forward of the front foot, just a couple of inches. Bend your back knee. Spring off of your back foot to find standing splits. Maybe you keep that connection of your belly to your front leg. Lift the back leg up towards the sky. Your hips are closed here, so that if you look back at your lifted leg, the toes are pointed down towards your mat. Good. And then let the head go here as well. Big stretch for that standing leg and lots of work for your top leg. Great. Walk your hands with your blocks forward, a foot to a foot and a half. Lift up through your low belly to find that warrior three. Good, and then maybe a balance here. Make your way all the way back up to standing. Gently step the right foot down next to the left foot. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend your knees and sink your hips down and back for chair pose. Good. Just a couple of breaths here. Consolidating your energy, pull everything in to the center of you, lifting up through the low belly. Exhale, stand, reach up high. Exhale, hands to heart. Shift your weight into your right foot. Get that leg really strong. Lift the left foot, left leg to about 90 degrees. And then bring the hands to the hips. Check in with the hips here. Notice if one hip is hiked up, or especially the outer hip of your standing leg might be kind of stuck off to the side. I like to call this a sassy teenager hip. Hug that in nice and strong. Good. And then with the hips, just like this, start to move that left knee out towards the left and hinging it back to center. The next time your knee is out wide, find tree pose, bringing the sole of the foot to your calf, ankle, thigh, anywhere you can meet it onto that standing leg. Press the foot and the leg into each other. That'll help you balance here. Lift up through the low belly. If you feel pretty balanced, you can reach the arms up high. Good, reaching from your low belly down into the heel of your standing foot and up from your low belly into your fingertips. Good. On your next exhale, bring the hands down to the heart. Lift the left leg away from the right leg out to the side. And then mindfully back into center. Good. Little softness behind that right knee. Take left leg all the way behind you, warrior three. Maybe hands come to the blocks. Start to bend into your right knee. Take a big, slow step all the way back to find your crescent pose. Adjusting the legs as needed here. Deeply bending into the front knee. Firming the back thigh up towards the sky. And then relax the tops of the shoulders away from the ears. Release your jaw, release your forehead. Exhale, bring your hands down around your front foot. Find your blocks. Start to straighten into that front leg, pulling your right hip backward, sending your left hip forward, releasing the left heel down towards the mat. Extended pyramid pose. And then letting the upper body drape over that front leg, finding a meeting point between the belly and the thigh. And then releasing the head and the neck. Maybe give a couple little nods, yes, shakes, no. Breathing really deeply here. This is a deep, deep stretch. Making sure both the inner and outer arches of your foot in the front are sealed down. Keep reaching the right hip back, sending the left hip forward. Good. Keep that connection of belly to thigh. Walk the block slightly forward of your front foot. Bend into your back knee and hop that back foot up to a standing split. Bend on the standing leg is always okay. Firm the lifted leg and reach it up towards the sky, and then look back at your toes and make sure they're pointed down towards the mat instead of off to the left. Closed hips here. Good. On your next exhale, firm your low belly, lift your upper body to find that warrior three pose. Maybe we lift the hands and find a balance. Wherever you are, rise all the way up to a stand. Gently step the left foot next to the right foot. Inhale, hands up high. Good. Exhale, sink your hips down and back, chair pose. Integrating everything into the center of you. In order to navigate transitions with grace, we first have to find our center. Good. Exhale, stand, bring the hands to the heart. Nice deep breath. All the way out. On your next inhale, shift your weight into your left foot. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. And then take right leg back behind you, warrior three. Maybe hands come down to the blocks. Bend into your standing leg. Slowly, big step all the way back. Find your crescent pose. That landing should be almost silent. So soft and gentle. Good. Exhale, spin your back heel down. Take your arms out wide. Find warrior two. Sending your front knee over your second toe. Firming that back thigh up towards the sky. Reaching your fingertips away from each other. And then imagine dragging your heels towards each other. That's going to activate your legs and get them really strong. And then lift up through the low belly, stretch the crown of the head up high. Good. Inhale, reach the front hand forward and then flip it back. Find your reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, side angle pose, front forearm to front thigh. Backhand either overhead or bicep over the ear. Creating space through both side bodies here. Great, and then bring your top hand down to your hip and take your bottom hand to a block in front of you. Shift your weight into your front foot. You might take some little hops on your back foot or drag that back foot forward. We'll find a balanced half moon pose. Opening the hips towards the side of your mat, stacking your right hip on top of your left hip. Press out through the sole of your lifted foot. Get that leg really strong. Maybe right hand lifts towards the sky. On your exhale, close your hips. Bring that top hand down to a supported warrior three. Focus on how you move between these two poses. On your inhale, hinge your hips open to the side. Right toes turn towards the right. Right hand goes up high, half moon. Exhale, hips hinge closed, warrior three. One more like that, inhaling. Exhaling. This movement initiated from the very center of you. Good, step your right foot down next to your left foot. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Couple deep breaths here. Just close the eyes, tune into the body. Good. Inhale, reach the hands up high, sink the hips down and back, chair pose. Exhale, stand up, bring the hands to the heart.
I'm going to switch sides on my mat so I can continue to face you. On your next inhale, lift your right foot and bring your left knee in towards your chest. Good. Take left leg back behind you. Find warrior 3, maybe hands supported on blocks. Bend into your standing leg. Slowly, gently, gracefully take a big step all the way back, crescent pose. Exhale, spin your back heel down, take your arms out wide. Find your warrior 2. Finding that gentle pull of your hips toward, heels towards each other. Lifting through the low belly. Inhale, reach your front hand forward, flip your palm up high, and bring that hand high to the sky. Reverse your warrior. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, stretch the front hand forward, front forearm, front thigh, back hand overhead, side angle pose. Really rooting down through that front forearm and reaching up through your left fingertips. Good. Bring the top hand down to your hip. Reach your front hand forward and find your block. And then shift your weight into your front foot. Little hops off of that back foot, or maybe drag it all the way forward and find a balance for half moon pose. Really firming the outer hip of your standing leg to stack your hips one on top of the other. Firm the lifted leg. Find your center. Hinge your hips closed to find that warrior 3. If you're feeling really balanced today, you can try to do this with your hands together at the heart. Warrior 3. Hinge your hips open for a super balanced, non-supported half moon. And hinge it down, warrior 3. You might fall, that's okay. If you fall, it means you're trying and you're challenging yourself. Good. Exhale, hinge back down, warrior 3. Step your left foot next to your right foot. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. In any way that's comfortable for you, go ahead and find a seat on your mat. We might grab that blanket or pillow and place it underneath the hips here. And then we'll take the legs out long in front of us. And bring your right knee to bend. Bring that right heel in close to the right sit bone. We might stay here. We might cross the right foot over the extended left leg. Make sure you can seal the sole of your foot down to your mat if you're crossing it over. If it's kind of sticking up and it can't come all the way down, if you do that, just step it on back over to the right. Option to keep the left leg out straight. Option to wrap the left leg around towards your outer right hip. Whatever feels better for you today, you might try that, decide it feels terrible, and go back to stretching it out. Either way, press your left leg down into your mat. Even if it's bent, really root it down. That's going to help you grow your spine nice and long out of your pelvis. And we can use some traction on that right knee as well to really extend the spine. And then taking a twist to the right, right hand can come down behind you to support. Wrap your left elbow in a little hug around your right knee. Your gaze can stay right over your heart, or it might look back over your back shoulder. And as you breathe here, see if even in this twist you can breathe deeply into your low belly and expand your low back from the center to the right and to the left. On your next exhale, gently come back to center. Step your right leg over, straighten the left leg if you bent it. And then we'll take the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left leg. This knee is going to fall out towards the side. If there's a lot of space between your right knee and the floor, you can always grab one of your props and prop it under that knee. That can be really helpful. Not only will it tell those muscles that it's okay to relax, but it'll give you a little something to press that knee into. Just like we did in that last pose, we're going to really root the legs down into the mat, pressing them towards the floor. And then shift a little bit through the center of you so that your heart points directly towards your left leg. We might stay right here. We might take the hands behind us to help in a little forward fold. If you want some more core work, on your next inhale, lift your hands up high, firm your low belly, stretch your spine long from your tailbone to the crown of your head. Good. One more inhale here. On your exhale, start to fold forward over that left leg. Letting the head and the neck start to release. This is another great place to put a block under the forehead. On your next inhale, gently rise up. Remove the block from under your knee if you had it. Take your right hand back behind you and root down into it. Press your right shin down into the mat and lift your hips up high. Stretch the left hand overhead. Good, and then exhale, lower the hips. Take your right leg out long. And we'll switch sides. Left knee bends and comes in towards the chest. We might stay here. We might cross it over. Be really mindful that this side might be different than the last side. It's okay to do something different. Just notice how the body feels. We might wrap right leg around. No matter what the right leg is doing, root it down into the mat. Really press it towards the floor. Keep it active. That'll help grow the spine nice and long before we twist to the left, taking the left hand down behind us, wrapping the right elbow around the left knee. Good. On your next exhale, gently unwind back to center. Take that right leg out long if you tucked it in.
And then cross the left leg back over if it crossed, and bring the sole of the left foot to the inside of that right leg. Maybe a block under the knee. From the center of you, gently shift so that the heart is facing directly towards that right leg. And again, root both legs down into your mat. A strong anchor so that the rest of you can grow up and get a little bit lighter. Option to take the hands back behind to assist with a forward fold. Option to work the core a little bit more and reach the hands up high. Couple breaths here. One more inhale. Exhale, fold forward over that right leg. Maybe placing a block underneath the forehead. Once again, just noticing if this side feels a little different. On your next inhale, gently rise up. Remove any blocks that you had. Take your left hand back behind you. Root your left leg down into the mat and then lift your hips. Reach right hand up and overhead. Exhale, lower the hips gently back down. Take the left leg out long. Little wiggle of the legs here. Beautiful. And then bend both knees. And remove the blanket or pillow if you were sitting on something. Just make sure you have a nice smooth space behind you. Gentle grip on the legs. Vertebra by vertebra, slowly lower all the way down onto your back. And then once you're there, inhale and bring both knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little hug. And then take your arms out wide like a T and drop both of your knees gently over towards the right. A little reclined twist. Notice if your head feels best at center, maybe looking over your right fingertips or your left fingertips. We might bring the right hand to the top of the left thigh if a little traction or weight there feels good. Just gently relaxing the left shoulder down towards the mat. Noticing if you're holding or gripping anywhere that you don't need to. Letting the breath flow deeply and easily. On your next inhale, gently bring your legs back to center. Be mindful of this transition. And then gently, mindfully, both knees over towards the left. The knees can always rest on a blanket or a block if they don't quite reach to the floor. Let yourself be held and supported here. And letting the right shoulder get heavy and soft down towards the floor. Breathing deeply. Staying within the sensations of the body. On your next inhale, gently and slowly bring both knees back to center. Hug the knees in towards your chest. And then over the next 5 breaths or so, make your way to a Shavasana. If there are any other movements or poses that your body is really craving, you can take them now. Or just stretch the legs out long. Maybe you'd like to make your Shavasana a little bit more cozy by covering yourself with a blanket or adding a blanket behind the head. If the legs straight out is not super comfy for you or hurts your low back, the knees can always bend here and kind of rock together. Again, just some time in the next few breaths, finding your way to your resting posture, letting the hands either rest with the palms face up or bringing the palms to rest somewhere on the body. Letting the eyes close and the attention start to come inwards, knowing that there's nothing that you need to do right now. This is your time and your space to just be.
welcome to stay here in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. If you feel your rest is complete, gently start to deepen your breath. Bringing in some small movements to awaken the body, maybe a long overhead stretch. And in the gentlest, softest way possible, eventually make your way up to a seat on your mat. If you can, just letting the eyes stay closed for a couple more seconds here. Just really luxuriating in these few moments that we get to just be, not do, away from that constant rush from one thing to the next, point A to point B. And just resting in the center of you. Know that as you move on through your day, your week, your life, you can come back to this place of center and move from this calm, quiet, still, strong center in whichever direction you wish, with more mindfulness and steadiness and ease. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.